So let's talk a little bit about Moto gloves. This one specifically is the Icon Pursuit touchscreen perforated glove. I think it's Pursuit Touch, something like that. It doesn't really matter. You can find it pretty easy. They're about $85 list. You can sometimes find them used for around $50 to $70 depending on how heavily used. These ones I've really given a workout. These were the ones I was wearing in my little high side when I kind of got the boost and knocked into the pavement. I'll go ahead and throw them on for you. They're pretty comfortable. I will say the pros of this glove are that it's very well perforated. You can kind of see my skin through there, which means you will get some road rash on the back of your hands. If you look, this is the one I really crashed in. You got just a little bit of a scrape there and a little bit of wear here. It took me a little while to figure out because I remember when it happened, I took my glove off and I had kind of this like shotgun pattern of blood. It seems like some of the stuff kind of got in through the holes here and then scraped me up through there. Not even bad at all, it's just something interesting to kind of think about. It does have the gussets on the side if you have like maybe a fatter hand or something super muscular from masturbating a whole ton. That's really cool. It's comfortable. I don't really notice a difference between gloves that have this and gloves that don't. It just kind of looks a little bit better. I like having more panels of construction because that generally tends to hold up better. You would think that less is better just in terms of longevity, but I find that when you have one seam, it just has one point of stress. This probably helps alleviate some of that over time as you stretch it and move it like this. You kind of have this give in it, whereas other gloves may not. Something like, and I'm going to be bringing these out a couple times to compare them. These are the Alpinestars, I want to say S-Octane Supermoto, something like that. Notice there's not really an expansion panel there, it is a separate piece, but these ones are taut. Once you start stretching them, you'll end up having some areas where the threading can burst, as someone had before I got to them. Yeah, so I had to fix those on my own. That's just carpet threading, and then I singed it. These are awesome. They're totally touchscreen compatible. I can go ahead and plink around on my phone as much as I want. I'm trying to think of something cool to show y'all. I don't really have much though. So you can like check out different things, go, hey, I want to see, you know, how much mileage did I get on that one trip? Let me go ahead and show you. Yeah, 53.1, that's pretty good. You can do all kinds of stuff with it. Really cool times. Very useful if you're using your phone as a navigation device and you have it plugged into a RAM mount in the front. You can just kind of pop it and you can work with it really easy, especially if you're running something that's like Bluetooth. You're good to go on it. Really cool. So they work well in that capacity. As far as safety goes, I don't trust them a whole lot, especially after my accident. You know, I did break this hand, and I'll show you my bone callus that still has yet to fix itself. If you look, you can see on that edge. Yeah, that shouldn't really be there. So I got that going on. That's, pretty sure that's food of some sort, so disregard that mark. I'm dirty. They're pretty easy to get on in the summer, especially when your hand's really super wet, sweaty, and moist. That's pretty cool. There's some gloves that are just impossible, especially if you know, do that one thing, oh, I'll just take them off the light and I'll be able to throw them back on, no problem. And you end up sitting there, you know, with your hand up your ass while you're trying to like pull away from the stoplight. That sucks. These are pretty easy. They do hold up well into repeated washings. I'm on wash number 3 on these. I did use them tack shooting once. You can see them in the SKS video a little bit. I wanted to put some mileage on them and just see how they would do in that capacity because we're always wearing through textile gloves in the thumb and forefinger. We're always loading with them and it just destroys them. These really, as far as like tack gloves go, they're probably too thick, but since they're touch capable, that's less of an issue. You do have pretty good feel with them. I would equate them to mechanics impact if you were to determine how much you can feel stuff. It's not like you're going to be sewing in them, but you can do most operations pretty easily. They don't really increase your finger diameter as far as putting them in trigger guards and stuff. That's cool. Or finger blasting your girlfriend in the back of your IROC Z. Really nice gloves. You just miss out on a lot of the safety features. You don't have stuff like a plastic slider here. You don't have any kind of padding or protection for your hands. The plastic slider is really nice, and I wish it did have one. You can see them in gloves like this one. This is an Alpinestars GPX, so you have a little bit of padding there. What this slider does is enable you to go down on the pavement and skid, and it acts as kind of a brake. This will melt away, and it helps slow you down without slowing you down too fast. Because with these delicate little metacarpals in the hand, you run the risk of smacking down and then throwing all your body's weight and energy onto that little braking point right there. That's not so great. These are not meant to support your entire body, especially in deceleration like that, so you can tend to break them. For mine, I think I came down kind of like this in a karate motion. I'm pretty sure just kind of like that on the side, and that actually feels exactly like what it would have been. So that actually hurt just then, so that's great. That bone break is still not doing so hot lately. It's hurting for some reason. Mostly when I have to shake a lot of hands, which pisses me off because people never... Oh, a firm handshake is a mark of a good man. It's also a douche move. That was pretty funny too, because when I had it busted, the first thing the doctor did was, "Hey, I'm Dr. Blah Blah, go ahead and give me your hand." He like crunched it like that. Yeah, every time. People always squeeze the same place on it, and I always, yeah, anyways, driving me crazy. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Perforated, really comfortable. The coverage on it is not so great, especially in this area. I am a fan of shorter cuff gloves because most of the stuff I use is just sleeved jackets. So there's not much point for me to have like the full-on dragon tamer glove that goes halfway up the forearm and it rotates. That's just more layers, more mess, more hassle. And honestly, I just don't really like the look. It makes you look like you're about to hop on the back of, what was the name of, I'm trying to think of a Game of Thrones dragon. I'll just say Vermithrax. That's a more dated reference that no one will really get, but whatever. So that's pretty cool. It could be longer. I would say the Octanes, this has a different form on it if you look at how it kind of drops down. They do it on the more likely slide area, how it comes down to here. That's pretty cool. This also is not highly protective. This, for me, is more of, as these guys say, a supermoto glove. This is more of my off-road thing when I'm looking for a little bit better feel, and I don't care about getting it dirty. I paid 35 bucks for these because they were a little busted there, and I went ahead and sewed it up myself. This is a pretty thin, really tactile leather. I want to say it's goat, one of those funky ones. I don't really know how that holds up. Luckily, I haven't had to test it yet. Zero padding and protection there. Whatever you hit and skid, you're going to be hitting and skidding and pretty much using your bone to break your fall. That's less cool. This is pretty much worthless cotton batting they put in there. Not so helpful. I would laugh if they said it's some kind of proprietary gel because it seems to have deflated over time. It's basically a joke. But this whole slide thing there seems like it would work really well if you were to go into a slide this way. You'll kind of hit, and I'm sure it'll roll up your sleeve a little bit, and, you know, it gives you a little bit more protection. Contrast that to something like these GPXs. These ones have a big old plate on the bottom to help protect you. This is kind of my favorite level of protection as far as reality goes. I'm not going to go to a full gauntlet. That's just not my thing. I don't like them. This is kind of ideal for me because you can still tuck it under a sleeve. It's not going to add that much drag as you rotate your hand, and it gives you a lot of these good race features. This one's pretty cool, and it does, I already showed you the slider, the padding there. It doesn't really do a lot of this finger armor. We see a lot of these weird kind of dildonic shapes that stick out of each one of the knuckles. That's, to me, again, a dragon tamer thing is how I think of it. This one kind of has a little bit here. This is really subtle and classy. It looks really bitchin' with like a brown cafe racer jacket for some reason. It's just cool and classy. These are pretty realistic. I don't think you need a lot of, you know, an individual one, a fingernail piece of armor and plastic armor here and here, because I've never seen a situation where you can use it aside from just driving and smacking your hand into a mirror, perhaps when lane splitting or something like that. That's plausible to me. I don't really think you're ever going to land and crash with your fingers down on the pavement and need like fingernail sliders. I just don't get it. I think it's more style than substance, and this tends to do away with it. These are actually just little perforated leather panels, again with like maybe a piece of leather underneath, maybe some cotton batting, I don't know. These little accordion panels there. This is just classy looking to me though. This is very understated, very smooth. This is so cool that John Connor actually used these in Terminator Salvation if you want to look just like him. I'm pretty sure he cut the fingers off them though, because they probably didn't have touchscreens back then. This little strap here may actually act in a protective fashion if you were to hit down. I think that's part of why they made it with this rubberized funkiness. I don't know, that's just a theory. These are cool. They're to clip the gloves together when they're not in use, although the button on mine fell off after about a week and I couldn't replace it, so since then I've just lost interest. You can always just Velcro them to each other, that's not a problem. These GPXs are pretty cool. They do have the external armor like this, but like most things, these, you know, it's got very good, whatever it is, knuckle armor. I mean, that's, I'm not even using that much force. I mean, I can deform it with a pinky. That's just, it's more, again, marketing than anything. These ones, if you like this actually, I wish you could just feel them. This has a lot more cushion underneath it, but this is a more race-oriented glove. When you look at the price difference, I want to say it's probably about $50 or so between this and this. This is not touch capable, although all you need is one of the little threading kits to do it. These are really different philosophies you use for each one of these gloves. A closer comparison would be something like this Octane versus the Pursuit, and this one is actually going on clearance a little bit more. I think the price parity is decreased between them. This is a pretty protective glove, but you're giving up a lot of the same. These cute little things, you can see they're already falling apart in some areas. The leather is kind of losing its color. This is the same level of ankle, or I keep saying ankle when I mean knuckle. This protection here, it's just as malleable and floppy. I mean, I don't know what you really expect. This is still realistic up here. This is very comfortable wearing on a dirt bike. So that's some of the stuff you can kind of look for in gloves. I really like these if you're thinking about doing like a ride and shoot. I think that's realistic. You can go out and ride, blow stuff up, reload mags, and you have trigger guard ability with that. you can just rock on and play with them all the time. Really easy, very versatile glove. Maybe not the best as far as safety goes, especially not as a sport glove, but maybe as a commuter glove if you're into that. I'm debating stitching on some extra protection of my own. I'll let you know if that ever turns out. Cool. That's a couple of the Moto gloves I use. There are some others you may end up seeing at some point. Anyways, that's Doodle out.